Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us. Thank you everyone for making the time to hang out today. My name is Pilar Mejia and I am the lead of our Gente TMRG and so excited to be kicking off today's workshop. I have to start with a big thank you to our executive sponsor, Wendy Barnes, for connecting us with today's speaker, Guisselle Nuñez, and to Samantha and Kyla from our wonderful Women's TMRG who teamed with us to make this workshop a reality. So I'm just going to go over some super quick housekeeping and we'll get right into it. We are recording this session. And so we ask that if you are not speaking, please remember to mute yourself. That being said, this is meant to be interactive. So please, at any point in time, as Giselle's going through her content, feel free to come off of mute to voice any opinions, questions, or if you're more comfortable, you can drop them in the comments or the chat. Our note stock can be found in the calendar invite. That's where you can find Giselle's full bio, along with any resources and links that we discussed today. So before Giselle takes it away, I do want to pass it to my wonderful co-host, Kyla. Thank you, Kyla, so much for working with us to make this a reality. How are you?
Absolutely, I am well. Thank you for asking, and thank you for teaming with our Women's TMRG in this initiative. So happy to have Giselle here joining us today. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We observe different demographic equal pay days throughout the year to help us raise awareness about the wage gap for women and its impact on women and their families. So as we look to uplift our underrepresented groups, I want to raise awareness around the Equal Pay Day calendar for 2022 with 2 equal pay days left this year, as we have the Native Women's Equal Pay Day happening November 30th of this month and Latina Equal Pay Day happening next month on December 8th. So now more than ever, I really feel that cultivating a personal brand has become more important, and we are excited to have this opportunity with our host today with Giselle. Thanks for joining us, Giselle.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And while I pull up my PowerPoint, let me just ask folks a little question. So this is a question that's actually based on research. The answer is research. It has numbers based on research, but let me ask you, since we're talking about Equal Pay Day, how often do women versus men, how often do women think about their salary versus men? Give me a shout out or put it in the chat. How often, in comparison to men, do women think about their salaries? Right? Way less. Yes, way less. Anything else? So anybody else? So what does way less mean? But definitely way less. 1 out of 4, never. I love it. Well, pretty much almost. So I would say you're on the right track. So women generally, based on research, think about their salary once a year during their performance eval. Men, how often do men think about their salaries? Michael, or is it, Michelle?
Oh,
so you unmuted. So I thought you were going to say something.
I was not. I just came back upstairs because I got off mute. But I'll say something. How often do you think about their salary? I don't know. I think about it. I can just take myself into consideration. I really don't think about it that much, but maybe it's just me.
Okay. All right. Well, that's okay. Supposedly, according to research, men think about it, and I think someone said in the chat, every time they get their paycheck. So what does that mean, right? So that probably means that most of us should probably be thinking about it a little bit more, so that then we can prepare to speak about our accomplishments and again, what we're going to talk about today, our personal brand, in a way that helps us elevate that conversation and possibly those, negotiations of how we can increase our salary much more. So that's just something to keep in mind. Again, these are general research numbers, but just something that I think that does relate. So, when I first heard that, I'm like, yeah, that's true. I do only think about it once in a while. So something to take away, and something hopefully that you can apply to what we're going to learn today. So give me a second, because I never pulled up the presentation. I was too busy talking. All right. Today we're going to talk about take charge of your brand. Thank you so much, Pilar and Kyla, for welcoming me into your GitLab family. Thank you all for being with us this morning. I'm curious where folks are, so put it in the chat. What time zones are you in? And I only asked that too because, as you know, Pilar and Kyla know, I got back from Bali last week, so my body is still on a 14-hour time zone. So I'm still getting rid of my jet lag. But anyway, but welcome. Let me put this into presentation mode. We're gonna do a few things. Oh, London. Wow, Florida, Colorado. All right, Mexico. Look at that. I love it. London, 6. If it's dinner, wherever you are, please eat. Don't be shy about it. Poland. Wow, there you go. This is great. Oakland, Bay Area. Woo-hoo. I'm in San Jose. All right, love this. Okay, would love to see your lovely faces. But even if you're eating, it's okay. If it's morning wherever you are, don't worry about it. If you didn't comb your hair, that's okay. It's all family. It's all about really, the goal for today is for us to be in a safe space where we can learn, where we can open up, where we can be vulnerable as part of understanding and learning how to build our personal brand. And you need a few things. So number one, make sure you have your workbook with you. If you did your personal brand assessment survey, does anybody remember that one-sheeter that was in the link that, you know, Pilar posted? If you can raise your hand, or so I have a sense of who knows what I'm talking about. Personal brand assessment survey. Okay, all right, we got one hand raised. Okay, well, is it Mom? Perfect. So Mom, I may ask you to talk about your experience if you were able to do the survey. So personal brand assessment survey was pre-work. If you were able to do it, great. If not, you'll probably want to do it after this. And that was a survey to send out to your network to better understand how they perceive you and your personal brand. You have your workbook, which we're going to go through today. And again, today is going to be drinking through a fire hose. We're going to learn a lot, go through a lot, use the workbook for it. But I also want you to share. I'm going to ask you questions. I want you to engage. I'll ask you to read some of the slides as well. So, because this is really 70% participation, 30% lecture. I've been teaching this for over a decade. I have a book on this subject. And what I want you to take away from this is really the understanding that a personal brand is really something that really comes from within, and we have to do the work to understand what that means to us. It's not superficial. It's all about understanding and building your confidence. Building our confidence means that we have to learn, we have to know how to communicate our value in a way that is authentic to you, in a way that makes sense to you. And also being confident also means that we're going to be open to being vulnerable. And that is about being able to communicate our value in the most authentic and confident way that we can. And it's hard to sometimes sit there and go like, okay, well, what am I really passionate about, and how do I communicate that? Or what am I really good, so what am I really good at? What are those skill sets that I bring to the table? And how can I communicate that without feeling like I'm bragging, right? With really owning that skill set. So this is about learning how to communicate that value in the most authentic and confident manner possible, because it does, if you're not true to what you're saying, it's going to show. So you have to be honest about what it is that you're communicating, and also you have to help others ensure that it resonates with them so that it sticks. So on that note, let's get to our first, let's do a quick icebreaker. Actually, let me do this for a second. Let me just pick up where I left off. But let me do this first. Quick icebreaker. All right, think about your favorite brand. Favorite brand, and describe it in 3 adjectives or less. And I want you to put that in the chat or just shout it out loud. So favorite brand, 3 adjectives or less. Describe it in 3 adjectives or less, why you love it. And there's a reason why we're doing this right now. Favorite brand, 3 adjectives or less. And I'm kind of going backwards, Pilar.
No, I'm going to go ahead and volunteer Allbirds. That's the first one that came to mind, because they're sustainable, they're comfortable, and they're sleek.
Perfect. Thank you. Who else? Who else? Favorite brand, 3 adjectives or less. Why do you love them in 3 adjectives or less? We got clinique, clean, consistent, and effective. Who else? Thank you, Karen. Come on. If it's dinner time, breakfast time, lunchtime, come on. Let's go. Favorite brand. If not, I'm gonna pick. All right, Chris Cruz. I see Chris Cruz.
Yeah, pick Starbucks. Consistent, available, and affordable. I guess that's that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Let's see. We got JetBlue. We got accessible, consistent, affordable. We got lush, sustainable, fun, innovative. Thank you. Your kayak, Guisselle polish brand with women's products, organic, honest, not beating around the bush, normal. Fabletics wear. Wait. Oh, comfortable, supportive, and versatile. All right, excellent. Any others? Any other favorite brands and why? 3 adjectives or less. Okay, let's see. I'm just looking at Patagonia. Patagonia always comes up in this question. Caring, environmental, open. Good one. Apple, yes. Bravissimo, yes. All right. Okay. Why am I asking you? Why are we doing this exercise? So think about it. Why are we doing this exercise? Why am I asking you to describe your favorite brand in 3 adjectives or less? And the answer is not because the brand represents your personal brand. That's not the answer. So let's take that off the table. Why am I asking you to think about this exercise in a way that is connected to the work that we're going to do today?
It's probably that's why we remember those brands, because of those adjectives.
Yes. Okay. More. Expand on that. Yes, Cal. More.
I think when you think, like I mentioned Muji as my favorite brand, and when I think about Muji, is everything is minimalistic, everything is neutral, everything is utility friendly, and that's what comes to my mind. Although I don't shop there, but I like to visit. I think that's how I remember that brand as. And every time I think about those, if I think about like neutrals and minimalistic, that's the brand. That's the thing I can think about. Yeah.
Okay. So how does it relate to you? So when people think of you, what do you want them to do? What?
How do we be remembered is what you're getting at.
Maybe. Yes.
Relatable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What are your words? What are your key words that you want people to use when they describe you? Now, is it Michael or Michelle? I want to make sure.
Michelle, yeah.
Okay, Michelle. Yes. How do you want people to describe you? Your skill sets, your experience, right? What are those key words? That is part of the work that we need to do on an ongoing basis, is you have to figure that out, right? All of these brands have spent a lot of money letting you know how they want you to speak of them and how they want you to remember them. We got to do the same thing. And that is part of the work today. And that's part of your ongoing personal brand journey from now on, hopefully, is to always keep in mind what those key words are. And then the work is, how do you strategically communicate that to the world in a way that resonates and makes sense, right? Okay, that is our work today. So keywords, so start thinking about your keywords if you don't have those already. Because why? Why is that important? Well, as Murphy, our very smart dog, says, so what does he say? So someone read that quote for me before I call on you.
If you're not branding yourself, you can be sure others do it for you.
You know that's true, right? If you are not telling me what it is that I need to know about you, your brand, your skill sets, the value you bring, if you're not telling me and educating me on an ongoing basis, and we'll talk about the how, then I'm going to be doing that. And I may not be using the words that you want me to, right? I may not be remembering the things that you want me to remember. So it is your job. But either way, you're being branded as it is on a daily basis. But it's your job to learn how to be proactive, and it's your job to learn how to be strategic. Those are two key themes today, how to be proactive and how to be strategic. And I'm going to teach you the how to get to that point. Okay. Are we all on the same page? We all want to learn the same thing? All right. And one of the outcomes for today, and I'm going to move into our workshop objectives. Can someone read these 3 objectives for me too, for our workshop today, please? Someone I can call on.
The workshop objectives are to apply 3 personal brand strategies, build your personal brand statement, and become more self-aware of barriers that inhibit self-promotion.
Does that resonate? The last one especially? Okay, well, number 2, though, the personal brand statement is going to be one of the things that I would love for you to start today and then finish. Who has a personal brand statement already? Or who knows what it is? All right, well, so that's what we're going to learn today. Personal brand statement is the 3-sentence description of who you are, what makes you unique, what values you bring, and to what audience. And you describe all of those things in 3 sentences or less without ever using your job description title, your job title, because the job title really means nothing unless I can understand what is it that you bring based on your value and who your audience is. That is your personal brand statement. And I'm hoping that we can start that today, and then you can finish it off after this. Tracy has one. Excellent. Then Tracy, you can help us today by sharing yours, because we're going to share today. So thank you. Or you can also tweak it as well. And it's something that you need to manage by tweaking it probably 2 to 3 times a year. It's a living statement. So excellent. That's what we're going to work on together today. We already did the icebreaker. Someone read this definition of a personal brand for me, please.
Personal brand comprised of your character, competence, and charisma. It's who you are, what you do, and why you are special. You have to create it, claim it, then make sure everyone in your network knows about it.
Yes.
Tom Peters.
That's just a beautiful description that just encompasses everything we're going to work on, that I'm going to just talk about really fast in the next minute. First of all, Tom Peters. Who's Tom Peters? Anybody know? Tom Peters, godfather of personal branding. In 1997, he came out with his first article on personal branding. The link to that article is in the back of the workbook under the list of all the resources that you have for additional reading materials. Highly recommend that you read that. Number 1, comprised of your character, competence, and charisma. Tell me, how many seconds does it take to make a first impression?
3.
Show me your fingers. Sorry?
3.
Yes, 3 seconds. It takes 3 seconds to make a first impression. And of your character, competence, and charisma, what are the 2 things that first come out in that first impression?
Character and charisma.
Yes, exactly. So if you make a good if you're smiling and you have some good energy and, I want to connect with you, then I'm going to then want to learn more about your competence. What does competence mean, right? Now I want to learn more about who you are and what you do. Now, answer this question. How many seconds do we as humans right now, the number changes every few years, how many seconds do we have for our attention span?
That is 7.
Pretty close. It's 8 seconds right now. Goldfish have an attention span of 12 seconds, by the way. So we are decreasing in our attention span. So what does that mean? So when you're talking to me about your competence, what does that mean? If my attention span is 8 seconds, what does that mean?
You need to think fast.
Go ahead, Alyssa.
I said you got to be quick.
You got to be quick. You got to be succinct, right? And this is where your personal brand statement comes in. And you can use it in a way that allows you to kind of have an outline, right, of your talking points for people. And if now I'm interested, I'm going to ask you more questions, right? And now you can go in more depth. But that's how you can use your personal brand statement. You can use your personal brand statement on your resume, on your about section for LinkedIn. You can use it in terms of introductions for job interviews when they ask you, tell me a little bit about yourself. And you start with that high level personal brand statement. So that is just a way for you to kind of hone in, narrow in into what is it that you want that person to know in 8 seconds or less. And then you can expand upon it afterwards. That's really, really important. And that's part of why I always teach everybody how to write a personal brand statement. Then the next part was, it's who you are, what you do, and why you're special. The first exercise that we're going to do next right now is about self-awareness. Just about who you are as a person, your values, what you're passionate about, because that needs to be a part of, and you need to be able to understand and communicate that as part of your personal brand as well. And normally we don't do the homework to really sit down and think through these answers to these questions. And then you have to create it, claim it, then make sure everyone in your network knows about it. What does that mean? You have to create it, claim it, and make sure everybody in your network knows about it.
Promote it.
What?
Promote it.
Yes.
Like tell people. Put it out there.
Yes. Exactly. You are your product. So you have to think marketing for yourself, right? This is where you have to be strategic and proactive and figure out ways that feel comfortable to you to tell the world all the great things that you're doing and how perhaps you're helping others. So now, so we'll talk about how to connect that to sort of a larger cause so that the self-promotion without guilt is part of what becomes easier for you. But yes, you have to promote it, because why? Because no one else is going to do it for you, right? It's your job to do that. So having said all of that, we're going to answer some of these questions next. So one of the 3 personal brand management strategies is assessment, knowing who you are. Someone read those questions for me. Okay, I'm going to call on someone. Let's ask Marina.
Hi, sorry if I have a little slip. I have my retainer on. So 3 personal brand management strategies. Assessment, know who you are. What image do you have of yourself? What are your values and what makes you unique? What are you passionate about? And what do you want to be known for? Do people have a clear understanding of what you do and the value you bring? What words, concepts, and ideas do people associate with your name and image?
Thank you. Thank you, Marina. Who can answer all of those questions for yourself right now? Who has answers? Maybe, kind of to some. Okay, well, this is your work. This is part of your homework, because all of these questions, all of these answers really lead to you having more self-awareness as to who you are, as to who it is that you want to be, and how you can communicate that value confidently and authentically. These are answers to these questions sometimes we think we know, but once we're asked to write them down, we're like, oh, what were they really? I thought I knew, but is it really that? So part of also having this personal brand assessment survey that we shared as that one-sheeter is that you'll ask your network to help you answer some of these questions based on their perception, which will then be helpful to you in a way that either helps you reinforce that you're doing the right things and or show you perhaps opportunities to better communicate who it is that you are to your different audiences, so that they start using the right keywords that you want them to do, that you want them to use, or for them to understand, what it is that you want to do and be, or what it is that you're doing at this point. Does that make sense? Is this making sense? Okay, so again, there's work to this. This is just the start of your journey, everybody. I'm going to provide you with some tools and a pathway so that you can continue the journey. All right, let's turn to, in your workbook, page 6, the actual page 6 in the workbook. And we're going to really talk about now your persona. This is you as a person. What describes who you are? What are the qualities that make you you? What are your distinct attributes, characteristics, vision, and values? Literally, again, drinking through a fire hose. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to just go through the questions, answer as many as you can, and then we're going to stop, and then we're going to go to the next one. So ready, set. Does everybody have the workbook? Okay. All right. Ready, set, go. And 10:25 Pacific time. So at 10:28, I'm going to tell you to put your pencils down. Okay, go. One minute. Okay, pencils down. All right, we're going to keep going here. Someone read this cartoon for me, please. Out loud.
According to your LinkedIn profile, you're a focused, disciplined achiever. According to your Facebook photos, you love Jack Daniels and are pretty comfortable with your body.
Thank you. Is it Esme?
Esme, yeah, thank you.
Esme. So what do you think is the moral to this cartoon here?
You can have multiple audiences.
Okay. Yes. And if we want to create a common voice, what do we need to do?
Consistency.
Yes. And why do we want to be consistent?
It's part of our brand.
To help people understand what our brand stands for, right? Yeah, clear messaging. Thank you, Stefania. Yes, we have to be clear on our messaging to people. We don't want to confuse them. We need to be clear. But first we need to be clear with ourselves. Again, what is it that I want to communicate to the world? And so, there's always the question of what channels should I use and which one should I use for what? At the end of the day, what you need to decide is, what is it that I'm passionate about? Who is it that I want to tell the world that I am, that I do, that I support, and then be consistent about that. So as an example, I only really talk about 5 things on social media: my team, my work, where I act as a champion for that, and/or I champion others, right? In different circles in the community that I care about. Murphy, our dog, and things that I'm passionate about, perhaps that are, related to personal branding or articles of the such. And then, perhaps just really being a champion for others that are related to things that I do in the community and that I volunteer on. So I kind of just stick to those 5 different things, and that's it. So people know me for those different things, right? And so you have to figure out the same thing so that you are consistent both offline and online, both. And this goes even as simple or complicated as your name. What names do you use online and offline, and making sure that they're consistent as well, so that people know, is it Joe or Jose? Even using the same type of headshot in different channels so that people can recognize you. So that is about finding a common voice, both offline and online. So think about that. And that's, again, part of being proactive and strategic, is really being clear with yourself on what it is that you stand for. So, okay. All right, let's go to the next one. Building your promise, page 9. This is where we're going to look at these questions from a lens of your professional experience. So what's my brand promise, right? What's my unique value? How does someone benefit from working with you? What sets you apart? By the way, in the personal brand assessment survey that hopefully you're going to do after this, you ask, and one of the questions that you ask is, how does someone benefit from working with you? And it's going to be a really very interesting and helpful to know if that resonates with how you think people benefit from working with you. So, all right, turn to page 9. Let's do another 3-minute drinking from the fire hose. Ready, set, go. Answer as many questions as possible. Okay, about 1 minute. All right, pencils down. A lot of questions. Now a question for you. Between building your promise and building your persona, there's no right or wrong answer to this, but a question for you is, which one did you find easier to do? And why? Heather?
Persona for me, just because I felt that was more like, hey, what do people think, professionally and personally? And then promises was a little more, I think, more on the professional, what do people, my network think?
Good. So maybe doing a personal brand assessment survey will be helpful to the promise piece. Excellent. Others? Persona versus promise. Which one was easier or not? Cal?
Persona was easier because I know this is about me, and I know what I'm good at. Yeah, it was easy for me to do that.
Excellent. So that means, again, a personal brand assessment survey may be helpful to answering the promise questions. Someone else?
I actually think the promise was easier for me than than the persona, just because it was the second one. My juices were flowing, but with each one, it was hard. First of all, time crunch, but also I found myself thinking, well, what do other people usually say? And I was like, wait, no, I need to think about what I want to actually put out there. So it was a really good exercise both times.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And again, also, yeah, time crunch. This is not normal, obviously. So that's why, again, you'll have more time, and I'm hoping you'll take more time to do this work on your own. But yeah, that's the key in answering these questions is what do I think? And doing the survey and having answers to that helps to perhaps reinforce some of those things that you feel that you want to say. Sometimes it doesn't. Right. But at the end of the day, what is it that I feel about these questions? What is it that I think? I think Alyssa, did you unmute?
I did. Yes. I was going to say too, persona was the one that I found easier. And looking back through the questions, it was almost like the persona was your interpretation of yourself, and the promise is like how other people see you. And not only like how other people see you, but it's like how you're thinking other people are seeing you kind of layer.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's true. But at the end of the day, you have to be clear about what your promise is, right? But doing the personal brand assessment survey helps to reconfirm some of those things to feel like, okay, yeah, all right, then I'm obviously communicating that. But sometimes the great part about this personal brand assessment survey is that people say, well, let me just say, some people come back after doing the survey and they're like, I did not realize that I'm good at X. When you really always knew that, you just didn't own it. So sometimes the survey allows us to be okay in owning some of these skill sets that we feel sometimes we undervalue or just are perhaps a little too shy about owning. So that's the other aspect of doing the survey, is that you learn some things about yourself that you already knew, you just didn't want to own it. Okay. Any other thoughts about the promise versus persona, Chris?
Yeah, I found the persona easier just because it's the basic building blocks, right? I'm a new people manager, and I think the promise is different between being an IC and being a manager, right? Because one is based on production, and the second is based on how you can support your new like direct reports, right?
Yes.
It's similar to like bricks can build a house or build a store, but it's kind of how they're arranged in that same way. So it's that persona versus the promise.
Yes, exactly. So, and these are questions, again, that we think we know the answer to for the most part. And then we sit down and then we're like, oh, maybe I have to think about it more, right? Or how do I really want to say that, right? Sometimes we just have to take that time and we just aren't able to. So on that note, so Mom, so you did the survey or you kind of did it? So what was your experience with it? So you're still on mute. Oh, ma'am, is it Mom? Sorry.
Hello. Yes, I did it.
So what was your experience with the survey and the survey results for you?
I would say it's much more easier because I've really thought through in the survey so many things about myself. So coming into that is just amplifying that, because I would say I did it this morning quite early, and it really got me thinking about myself a lot. So yeah, I find it a bit easier for that.
Okay, excellent. So were you able to send it out to the network, to your network, and get any responses?
I did not. I didn't know that I was meant to send it to anyone, so I just did it and kept it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So in the instructions, everybody, there's 5 or 6 questions, and these 6 questions, so build them into a Google Doc, into a Google form or yeah, exactly, some sort of survey tool. Send it to your network, and then see what you get back in response. And then that can help you, again, better align yourself to feeling, just to either reinforcing, what it is that you're already feeling that you want to communicate, and or it's going to help you maybe, gain a new skill or two that you hadn't owned. and or it can lead you in the direction of better understanding how it is that you do need to communicate about your value, because they are not speaking about you as you wish them to do. You know, Pilar, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to note, we did something a while back, a 360 survey, where you essentially did send out some questions to your peers to kind of get some feedback. And what was really great about that was just, I mean, all we have is our own perspective, right? And how we see ourselves and how we think we're doing. So it was really interesting to get some of the feedback, just things that maybe would have never occurred to me, or I hadn't realized maybe I was doing, or hadn't realized other people had realized that I was good at. So I definitely found it super valuable to get that feedback and to get it from different people. So when I did send it out, I didn't just do it to people who knew me like super well. I wanted to kind of see, you know, maybe folks that don't interact with me that well, don't know me personally, how am I coming across? So definitely plan on doing the survey as well. But that 360 one was a really cool exercise we did.
Absolutely. That's a great start. Ms. Stefania, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so I was reading your book on the weekend. I didn't see the survey, but I remember there were like 5 bullet points and they were very similar to the survey. So I literally took a picture of the book and then sent it to my partner at the time. And it was really interesting because the 5th one in the book was, what are the weaknesses that may hold me back? And I always find I do a lot of public speaking and everyone's like, oh, you're amazing. I'm like, thank you. That's great. Thank you for the feedback. But what can I do to improve? So I always find it, for me, really interesting, like constructive criticism. How can I be better? What are my weaknesses? Because actually the weaknesses, one of the things he said was, can be self-centered, which aligns with your book and about having a purpose and having a promise. Because I was like, I've never actually thought what I can do for others. I spend my whole time thinking how amazing I am. So it's really good to like get the other kind of flip side of it.
Love it. Love it. That is excellent, excellent feedback. And that's the kind of work, right, that we need to do in order to really be authentic and articulate about our brand. And yeah, our brand is about us, but our brand is also, you know, at the end of the day, we also want to align to other people and we want to help other people and be brand ambassadors to other people. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. So thank you for sharing. I mean, we can continue on, but I just want to make sure that we stick to time. All right, let's talk about your personal brand statement. So I can't remember who said that they had one already, but personal brand statement communicates who you are, reflects your professional reputation, and you can use it on your resume, LinkedIn profile, and the statement is used to summarize in a few words who you are and the value you offer. So Tracy has one. Thank you, Pilar. So on this note, we're going to jump into your personal brand statement, but first, a cartoon with a moral. Who can read that for me and tell me what the moral of the story is? Someone.
I'll read it.
Thank you, Kyla.
Yes, of course. Okay, yes, you're a cow, but you're also a dairy consultant, an expert on calcium, and a hay connoisseur to boot.
So what does that mean? What is the brand consultant trying to tell the cows through that statement?
You're one of many things.
They're more than just a cow.
Yeah, you're more than just your title, right? Your job title. That's why one of the things that so we're not going to talk about LinkedIn, you know, per se and profiles and stuff, but one of the things that I tell folks is on LinkedIn, below your headshot, which everybody should have a professional headshot, you should not have your title underneath your headshot. You should choose the keywords that you want people to know about your brand. Because why? Because you're so much more than your job title. And I don't know what your job title really means at the end of the day. I want to understand value, skill sets, experience. Choose 3 keywords and use them on and use them below your headshot, and they should match up with your personal brand statement. So on that note, your personal brand statement, it's going to, I'm going to go to this right here. Personal brand statement is page 12. There's a lot to work here with your personal brand statement. We're just going to kind of get to the meat of things, but you will have to probably unpack it a little bit more and work on this a little bit more after this. But it's really, again, 1 to 3 sentences that communicates your value, what you're best at, to your audience, whomever you wish to serve, either now or in the future. and what your promise is, right? How you perform your value uniquely. The key with this is that you want to be able to be clear about your target audience, the value you bring, and your product promise. But the key to this is that you don't want to just talk about your soft skills. I'm a great leader with great humor and blah, blah, blah. That doesn't tell me a thing. Remember, I have 8 seconds of an attention span, and I got to put you in a box very quickly. Okay, so they said they're a project manager that has experience in doing X, Y, and Z. And then they have these other things, right? That they've done. So you got to come out just running, just hit the ground running with that personal brand statement, helping me put you in a box so that I can then ask you and be intrigued so that we can be able to learn more about you. Does that make sense? And that's why it's 3 sentences or less, because my attention span is only 8 seconds. So on that note, we're going to, so this is my personal brand statement on my LinkedIn. You can take a look at this on my LinkedIn, but I use very specific keywords. I'm not going to read it to you. You can just read it yourself at this point. And you can go on my LinkedIn to see it as an example, but very specific keywords and very specific experiences that I'm telling you that I have, because that's what I want you to remember. And then I have a second paragraph of 3 sentences that talks to you about my passion. But that's, if you're now interested, click read more for the 3rd sentence in that first paragraph, and then you can read that second section about my passion. So again, you really are talking here about your professional experience to the audience, the industry that you wish to speak to at this point. Okay, any questions, any thoughts? Because if not, we're going to do just, again, a whole 3 minutes again to try to get your statement, to try to draft a statement. If that's too hard, think about the key words that you want to start using as you work on revising or building a personal brand statement. So does that make sense to everybody? Okay. All right. And then we're just, again, this is just a trial. This is just a draft. So, and Tracy, I don't know if you're willing to read yours at the end of this, at the end of the 3 minutes, but it'd be great to have folks hear what someone else in the group has as a personal brand statement, not to put you on the spot. All right. Thank you, Tracy. All right. Ready, set, go. 10:47, 3 minutes, 10:50. We're going to come back and share out something, whatever we have. But this will definitely be your homework. All right, go. One more minute. Okay, time. Again, not a realistic time frame to do this work. We're just getting our toes wet here with this effort. So, Tracy.
Hi there.
Hi, thank you for volunteering to read your personal brand statement. Little did you know.
I'll put it in the chat too when I'm done. I am a strategic connector of people, ideas, and opportunities. I am a visionary who sees opportunities that others do not yet see, and I serve at the intersection of innovation and delivery.
I like it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I have a question for you. What is it that you do?
I'm in market insights.
Okay.
So I research and look for things that what we should be doing and how the trends and markets of the world impact what we're doing.
Okay. I'm going to give you just a little bit of feedback. I wasn't quite sure what your product was that you delivered as part of that experience.
Well, not exactly doing some of the things currently that I historically have been doing. But what I do is I see things that we could be doing, and then I go and create a product or service and deliver that to the market.
I love that. I love that sentence, Tracy. That helps me put you in a box. Good. Love it. Add that, tweak that somewhere in your current statement. That I was able to understand.
Cool.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tracy, for sharing. Others who'd like to share, if not just at least the keywords that they've thought about, that they'd like to include. I know this wasn't easy, right? Was this easy? All right, Alyssa.
Yeah, I'm happy to take a plunge here.
All right.
I didn't get a full statement, but I can share kind of some key themes, I guess you could say. So I have more or less, I am motivated by helping organizations better support their employees through stronger processes and through stronger and more efficient processes.
That's a great start. And then the second sentence could now be about what does that look like for an organization? So if I want to hire you, what are examples or wins of how you've helped build those strong processes?
Okay.
There you go. Great start. Excellent.
Thank you.
One more share. Keywords or draft. Marina.
All right. So no judging.
No judging. All in the family here.
Thank you. Global citizen, bringing results to drive team member programs that drive engagement.
Okay, excellent. And then kind of like Alyssa, that second sentence would be, what does that engagement look like? Right? Because if I want to hire you, what does that engagement look like? Like, what would success look like for that engagement? That product. So again, going back to the product.
Okay.
Excellent, excellent. Did someone come off? Alex, did you want to say something, or did you just unmute by accident?
Nah, well, if you want to hear one more, I can.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Awesome, cool. No judgment as well. So I'm specialized in lean design for digital products with repeated success. I have been part of multidisciplinary agile teams that build products to scale and reach millions of users.
All right, now that's excellent. And then I would just add another sentence that perhaps gives an example of a win, right? Of what that experience looked like, right? From that skill set that you just mentioned. And that's it. This is great. It's not that hard. It's, you had it in you. This is great. I am happy to continue to read these. By the way, my email's in the workbook. So I'm more than happy. If you want to email me, I'm happy to give you feedback on the statements offline. So, because now we got to keep moving, but thank you so much for leaning in, sharing. Thank you for allowing me to give you some feedback as well. Okay, we're going to continue on. This was great. So we're going to give me a second here. Very, very quickly, how do you promote your brand? You all are probably doing a variety of these things. So I'm just going to remind you to pick a few, be strategic and proactive about it, right? and always try to lean in from the perspective of how am I helping others? Because this is going to go to the topic of self-promotion without guilt. Sometimes it's hard to just say like, oh, I'm at this conference and I'm talking about this thing and I'm speaking about this thing. Well, how about you turn it around and you make it about the conference and about the people that you're helping, right? It's not about you. It's about what it is that you're bringing to that audience to help them, to help improve whatever it is that they're working on, right? So all of these things you're doing in one way or another, just start thinking about it. Just start thinking about it from the perspective of how can I be more proactive? How can I be strategic? And how can I be more consistent about communicating in these different ways? And there's others. These are just some ideas. So that is about promoting your brand. And we're going to move to, this section here. Okay, very quickly, self-promotion without guilt. Who can self-promote without guilt? Raise your hand. I mean, if you can, that's great. Thank you. Yes, self-promotion without guilt. Okay, there are 3 ways that I think we can all think about self-promotion without guilt. So, and it's there, if you go on my website, there's 2 or 3 different articles that go into more depth, with some examples about how to self-promote without guilt. Number one, find brand ambassadors, right? Find other people to help you speak about the good things that you're doing. Now, hopefully they're going to do it and most of the time they're able to do that in a very authentic and genuine way. Just make sure that it's done that way, but find other people to share the good news or about the good projects that you're working on. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat there. So number 1, find brand ambassadors. An example of that, if your company wants to do a press release on you because you just won this national award, are you going to say yes or are you going to say no? I have an example of someone who is a Latina city attorney here in the Bay Area. She won a national award for her work, and her city, her employer, wanted to do a press release on it, and she said no. Why do you think she said no?
Felt like bragging or uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. But if a third party is doing it and it's your employer who wants to brag about you, say yes, always, right? That is your brand ambassador. That is a brand ambassador. Okay, example number 1, right? That's my example about how to find brand ambassadors. Actually, she didn't even have to ask him. They wanted to do it. Number 2, mental toxins. Those little thoughts, those little goblins, right, that come up and say to you, no, don't say that. So you're going to sound like you're bragging. You have to be aware of those little goblins that come up, right? There's a lot of cultural and gender barriers that are part of us. We need to do some work to really be more self-aware about them. So when those little goblins come up, we can sort of talk them off our shoulder. It's easier said than done. This is a whole other workshop in itself, but we just need to be aware of it. And that is my point here. You need to be aware of it. I have done that. A few years ago, I won a national award. I was going to send it to my senior team members. And what did I do? You think I sent it to my senior team members? No, I didn't send it to my senior team members. And I do this, I'm going to say shit all the time. Like I work on this, right? This is what I'm passionate about. And I listened to my goblins that said, no, don't do that because you're going to be bragging. Next day, swear to you, my male colleague got also a national award, different organization. What did he do?
He posted it.
Yes, he emailed the senior team exactly what I should have done and I wanted to do, right? He had no problem doing it. So what did I do? I'm like, okay, that's okay. You listen to the little goblins, but let's find another way of doing this. So I found another way of letting people know about my award, which by the way, was about the work I was doing for the organization that I was working for at that time. I found another way. And by the way, I also included him in that other opportunity to showcase the good things that we were doing and this award. How nice of me, right? No, that was just strategic. I was just strategic. And I did it in a way where it was also someone else who was talking about those awards. I didn't have to do it. So I not only found a brand ambassador, but I also was able to figure out a way to not let the goblins continue to talk to me. Number 3, how to self-promote without guilt. Always, always find a way when you want to self-promote about anything, always make it about the other person. How can it be a beneficiary experience for the other person? So as an example, Pilar, I heard you were doing a marketing campaign next month on X, Y, and Z. You know, we just finished ours last month. We really did a great job with it. We experimented with, different tactics, learned a lot. Happy to share about the different things that we did to make it a success. Because I'm, I want to support you in, whatever way I can, so that your campaign can also be a success. So what did I just do? What did I just do? Someone say that to me. Someone answer.
You offered to help her, but at the same time, you also showcased the work that you did.
Yes, right. But my focus was on how can I make it a beneficiary experience for her, right? But I also talked about the fact that we were successful. That felt natural. That felt, again, be genuine about it. Just don't say that you're going to help and then not help. But you can turn that around and self-promote without guilt, because you're making it about them. You're not making it about yourself. Does that make sense? Those are your three ways of self-promoting without guilt. There's more examples in those articles, but I highly recommend, again, it all goes back to being strategic, being proactive, and you got to practice it. And you have to practice this as well. So I know we are at time, so there's so much more I know that we can talk about, but let's just go with this at this point. Let's do a quick summary. Someone read this first bullet for me.
Personal branding is something you manage, not something that just happens. Invest 15 minutes daily to manage your brand.
And it's like going to the gym. Next one. Alyssa.
Your brand is working 24 hours a day. Make sure it is communicating what you want, right? Practice your personal brand statement.
And then the last one, everybody put in the chat or answer. What is it that you are going to do for your brand starting today? Go for it. Tell me, chat or out loud. Work on my website. Okay. Fine tune it. Complete the worksheet. Okay. Post on LinkedIn. Finalize my brand statement and update it on LinkedIn. Excellent. Others. Oh, so what else are we going to do? Update my LinkedIn profile. Yes. Update my LinkedIn profile. Yes. Yes. Update my LinkedIn profile. Right. A lot of those. And again, yes, professional picture. Yes. And again, if you want me to read your personal brand statement, just email me. I am happy to do that. And I think that with that, we're at time. I thank you for your time, for just being involved and just rolling up your sleeves this evening, afternoon, or morning, in whichever time zone you're in. So thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to Kyla and Pilar.
Yes, thank you so much, Guisselle, for the time. I know we're a little bit over, but we will have the recording up live for everyone. I can't wait to dig into all the information you've provided and do some work on this. This is great. 15 minutes a day, that's doable. We can totally do that. All right. So thank you again for everyone who made the time. And all the details are in the notes. So be sure to take advantage of this wonderful resource. Thank you so much, Guisselle. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Take care.